to the first episode of the Hombre Cave. I'm finally launching my new channel. I know I told a lot of you guys about this. So it's now officially launched. We're getting the first episode done. And this channel is going to be a little different than the regular Tequila Hombre channel in that we're going to do a lot more different subjects here. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. A lot more different subjects here, not just all tequila stuff. We're going to work on some other topics, things, of course I was a bourbon drinker. We talk about that. We'll talk about beer. We'll talk about sports. We'll talk about other hobbies and stuff that I have, as well as other hobbies that other people have. And so we're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff, even cigars. I'm a big cigar smoker and cigar connoisseur. So we'll be getting into cigars. We'll be getting into all kinds of stuff like that here on this channel. So we're going to be discussing a bunch of things. But I wanted to start off our first episode with a very kind of touchy subject for a lot of people. I did that review, like many of you guys know, of the Diablito Rojo, and people were going crazy about the pricing, and also people were asking me about the pricing of the El Tesoro 85th, the G4 6-year that's coming out. And they were asking me about the crazy price, what they called crazy pricing. So I said, okay, look, I think we need to really, I did an episode where I talked about pricing, but I said, okay, I think we really need to dive down deep into what's going on with the pricing stuff here and kind of really just kind of unfold it so people get a better idea of what's happening and what's going on. Because a lot of people are like, oh, this is going to be like bourbon. I don't think so. So what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to really dive down deep into this, and I want to get not only, what I know and stuff, but I also want to get some perspective from people within the industry. So I reached out and I called several really well-respected people in the industry, and I picked their brain, and I said, hey, you guys, I want to get a little more information and talk a little bit more about pricing for people, because people are really concerned about the way things are getting priced now. And I wanted to also find out what you guys think about your perspective on it, and also what you guys think about the future and what we're going to be looking at and stuff. And so this is the information that I got. I kind of compiled it, and so we're going to kind of go through things too, as if you were a new tequila drinker or new in the tequila world. So some of this, for some of you that are more of the aficionados, the experienced tequila drinkers, this may be a little bit basic for you to start, but bear with me because we will get more and deeper and deeper into the detailers and stuff as we go along. All right. So the first thing I want to do is we'll talk about kind of like the changes in the tequila landscape. Right now, as many of you know, tequila has gotten more popular, right? It's become one of the most consumed alcoholic beverages or alcoholic spirits in the United States. It's become very popular. It's outselling a lot of other of the spirits out there, and with that, supply stuff starts happening, right? And there's more brands being produced now too. So every day there's another brand that's being produced. You hear about all the time. I get people, they're like, hey, Hombre, what do you think about this brand? And it's some brand that just came out, that just showed up on the shelf somewhere. I haven't been able to try all the brands out there, so I don't be able to help everybody with everything, but I try to help you guys with as much stuff that I know about. But as you know, more and more brands are being produced, so it's the market's getting flooded with different tequila brands and stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is the tequila production, because this, the popularity and stuff has a lot to do and affects production. Okay, so first, with tequila production, tequila is a spirit made from the Weber blue agave plant. It's a succulent plant, so it's some people say, well, they try to compare it to bourbon. Okay, it's completely different than bourbon, and it's a lot more expensive to make than bourbon. So we're going to talk about the production, right? So first of all, the plant that they use for tequila is called the Weber blue agave. Now, the Weber blue agave takes anywhere from 5 to 8 years, 10 years to mature. And so that's a long time, right? Where if you're a bourbon producer, you can buy corn every year. They do crops, a couple crops of corn a year probably they could do. But it's readily available. every year you get a crop from farmers. There's lots of it everywhere. With agave, it's takes 5 to 8 years for it to mature. So you have to wait for it. So you have to plant a lot, right? You have to plant a lot. Now, when a distiller or tequilero wants to make a tequila, he has to go out and hunt his agave. Unless he's a farmer, unless he's an agavero. Then he knows where on his fields he's got agave that should be hitting about the correct Brix level. Brix level is the amount of starches that are going to be in that agave, so they know how much it's going to be able to produce. Okay, so they need to go out and then check the sugar content of the agave, and they need to buy and harvest enough agave to create the batch that they want to create. Okay, corn, you could buy, you need to buy so many tons of corn or barley or any of the other grains, wheat, whatever else they're using. You know what your grain bill is going to be when you're making a bourbon or something. You know what you need. It's all pretty consistent. And as long as your mash is good and you're getting a good extraction rate on your mash, you know where you're going to be when you're doing when you're making the bourbon. With tequila, you have to go through and check each agave to see what the Brix level is going to be, so you'll get an idea of what you're going to get out of your agave. Okay, so then agave needs to be cooked for 2 days pretty much. It takes about 24 hours for it to cook, unless they're using autoclaves, in which autoclaves they can do it in 8 hours, but then it needs still like another 24 hours for it to cool down before they can handle it. So it literally needs to take about 2 days for it to cook. That's kind of like a minimum. Okay, so they have 2 days of production time that's already been used up with people working on it, monitoring things and stuff like that. So 2 days there, and then after that you then need to start crushing the agave to get the sugars out of the fibers of the agave plant. Okay, so that's day 3 is pretty much with most producers. It could be a little shorter if you're doing an 8-hour cook using an autoclave. It may be 2 days. Typically though, it's 3 days. Okay, so then you start doing your extraction. You're extracting the sugars out of the agave fibers, and so then you're either using a roller mill or you're using a Taona. Now you have to watch your efficiency on the roller mill and the Taona to make sure you're getting as much sugar out of it as possible, right? So roller mills, you can get as high. I've talked to some of the producers and stuff, and they say, oh, they get as high as about 95%. I don't know if they can get that high on a roller mill, but that's what they tell me. They get about as high as 95. I think some said 98% efficiency on a roller mill. If they use a Taona wheel, they're looking more like 70%. It's a lot less efficient on using a Taona with a Taona wheel than it is using a roller mill. So then with that, they're losing money that they spent on the agave. They're losing it in efficiency, right? So then they're only able to produce a certain amount of bottles from this batch. So here, the cost that they're incurring from this is they're incurring a cost of buying the agave, which it's expensive because there's a agave shortage because of the demand right now. So, but what you're seeing though is you're seeing a lot of these producers and stuff that are going out and they're signing contracts with the farmers. And from what some of the people have told me in the industry that I talked to, they're seeing the prices come down on agave. So the future kind of looks good as far as that goes. But right now, they're looking at about 32 pesos per kilo, which is expensive when you break it down dollar-wise, and how many kilos you need to make a batch of tequila. So it's expensive to produce, and it's also very time-consuming, and you need a lot of personnel unless you're using a diffuser, which I'm not even going to get into the diffuser stuff because we don't talk about that tequila. So then we're looking at a day for extraction, and then fermentation typically takes 4 or 5 days, maybe 6, if they extend it a little bit. So you're looking at a week, and then they have to move it in and distill it, which is another day. So you're looking at about between 8 to 10 days to make a batch of tequila. Now, Bourbon would probably be somewhere along the lines of 5 days or so, 4 or 5 days, because basically you can do the mash and do this the sparge and get your Mosto or whatever it's called in the bourbon world, where you can ferment it. It's called what is it called in beer? It was called I'm drawing a blank. It's been a while since I've done beer, but it's basically what your syrup and what you're gonna ferment to then the distill, right? And then you can ferment it for 4 or 5 days. If you're doing a good fermentation in it, that's what typically you can do it in, especially if you pitch at a good yeast rate. You can get that fermentation going right away, and then you distill it in a day or two as well. So it's a little bit longer, but it's going to be a lot more expensive for tequila than it is for bourbon. So you're looking at two differences there. Now, where things kind of really break off a little bit and get a little different is that after distillation, tequila can be used right away. It can be bottled and sent off, and they can get a return on what they spent on it, selling it as a Blanco. So bourbon, you can't. Bourbon, it has to go in a barrel. So there's the difference there. Bourbon, they when they produce it, they're prepared for it to go into a barrel. Tequila, they can put it out on the market and make money on it right away. And Blanco tequila is great. It's fantastic. So a lot of people drink Blanco tequila. So there's a demand for Blanco tequila. So they can produce Blanco and sell it and create more batches and keep selling it. There's some brands that don't do aged spirits. Lalo, for example, Lalo tequila, all they do is Blanco, and they sell a ton of it. But that's all they do is a Blanco. They don't do a Repo, Añejo, Extra Añejo. All they do is a Blanco. So they get a quick return on their investment, and they're able to invest, into more batches and to grow their brand that way. When you put it in a barrel, that's money sitting in a barrel. That's money sitting in a barrel. So we have to start looking at that now as like money sitting in the bank for producers, right? They're going to need to make money on that. So what happens now is that, the longer it ages, the more expensive it gets, because that's money that's sitting in the barrel. And the longer it sits in the barrel, the more the angel share comes out of it. So the less they get, the less yield they're going to get. So they have to increase the price on it even more, so they can try to make that money back that they could have made selling it as a Blanco. So when you look at Extra Añejo, where you're going 3 years plus, it's even more money, because that's sitting in the barrel. Angels are taking their share. They're going to get less yield from it than they would if it was sold as a Blanco, which bourbon can't do. And so then they have to try to recuperate that money. Okay, so that's what we're looking at production-wise, right? Now, in comes, the agave shortage. It jacks the prices of agave up. It gets more expensive for them to produce, right? So we saw the prices of Blancos. We saw the prices of a lot of stuff go up. But when the Blancos go up, everything else is going to get adjusted, right? So Blancos are typically around $50, maybe more. I mean, there's some Blancos that are going for $60, $70, right? And then for Repos and such, they're going 65, 70, $80 now. Añejos are 65 to 100 plus bucks, right? And Extra Añejos were typically around $200 now. When I first started getting into tequilas, Extra Añejos were like $100. So it's gone up kind of dramatically, but it's because the price of agave has gone up, and there's a limited supply, and so they need to, they're paying more for it. And now too, with one of the things that a lot of the people in the industry told me about was like, okay, Mark, you have to understand, when COVID hit, it rocked the tequila world. So it's like, okay, it rocked the tequila world. How did it rock the tequila world? Well, first of all, distilleries, people were getting sick, right? And so they were getting COVID. They were shutting down, even though they didn't have to shut down. They were shutting down because they didn't want to get everybody sick. So there's times where distilleries were shut down for a week or two while their people got healthy, and then they opened back up again. And so production dropped a lot. It dropped a lot. So they weren't producing as much. So what we saw during COVID was that añejos and extra añejos disappeared, gone. There was no supply of añejos and extra añejos. There was brands walking around checking with distilleries to see if they could buy their stock of añejos or extra añejos if they had any. They're willing to pay top dollar to get some just to have some stock. There was none. So then these brands were like, okay, well, we don't have any añejos or extra añejos. What are we gonna do? You know, so they're like, and we're selling a ton of Blancos, so we can't keep up with the Blanco production. We have to keep pumping out Blancos to get the store shelf stock so we can make some money on these stuff. And while they're doing it, they're slowly putting some of their stuff in barrels, right? But meanwhile, some of these distilleries had stuff in barrels that they're like, okay, we're not going to touch this stuff. We're not going to touch it. We're going to let it sit here. We could pull it out and we can make money on it now, but we're not going to. Excuse me. We're going to let it sit in barrels, and we're doing special projects with these, right? But meanwhile, there's no extra añejos. No, añejos were scarce. They're coming in, but there's still a shortage of añejos. A lot of brands were out of it. Repos, they were getting repos out because repo you can put in for a couple months, 3, 4 months, 5 months, and you can get a repo out. But still, there was some shortage on repos too because the ones that are aged longer, they needed to wait. But they're able to get those out within a year. But still, there's not a lot of añejos out. You look, some of the brands, their añejos, they're still waiting because they need to age out right because they all sold during COVID. So now all the distilleries are back up and they're starting to run again. They're requiring more raw materials now. They're using more glass. They're using more printing, more stickers, and they need to get this stuff shipped to the United States, right? So they're using more glass. The glass producers are not caught up yet on producing glass. There's as high as a 6-month waiting list to get bottles. What happens then? It drives the price of bottles up. So then the producers are paying more for bottles now. And then a lot of the printing places that print the labels are behind on their printing jobs. So there's a waiting period for getting labels printed. The graphic design artists that design bottles and stuff, there's like a certain group of them in Mexico that really specialize in tequila. And those guys are backlogged. They're really good. They're the ones that do a good job on the label. They're backlogged on design work and creating new labels. I know because I've worked with a brand that we're creating a new brand, and we have to wait for the design guy to finish the labels, and he's backlogged. He's got other stuff that's in front of us. So, and then transportation. The price of gasoline went up. Truck drivers are scarce, hard to find, so you have to try to find a truck. You have to pay top dollar to get a truck that then takes the product from the distillery in Mexico and trucks it to the United States. So you're paying more for transportation costs to get it to the United States. So that drives the price up too, right? So prices are getting increased because the producers are paying more for their raw materials and their services that they need, as well as because of inflation and inflation is not just a US thing either, it's a worldwide thing. So you're seeing the prices of because of inflation, because the cost of goods is going up, they're having to pay people more money at the distillery, their employees, so they can have a living and support their families. So that's, cost of employment and cost of personnel is going up as well. So everything is going up across the boards. And these producers can't afford to not raise their prices to accompany this and cover their costs, right? So that's what we're looking at now for pricing. Now, some people are saying, well, okay, well, why is it going for $500 for the El Tesoro and stuff like that? Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but we're going to talk about some other things too, because once the tequila comes to the United States, the United States is a jewel as far as the tequila and the spirits world goes, in that this country is kind of messed up as far as the way liquor is controlled. We have what's called a 3-tiered system. So liquor comes from the producer, and then it goes to a distributor, and then it goes to a retailer, and then the retailer sells to us, the consumer. Retailers have to buy their spirits from a distributor. You have to buy it from a distributor, from a licensed distributor. I cannot buy my spirits directly from the producer. I have to go through a distributor to buy it. So in that scenario, you have the distillery, and with Mexico, it's kind of different than like bourbon and stuff here. In Mexico, it needs to be imported. So sometimes you can get the distributor to import it. Sometimes you have an importer that brings it in. Like a lot of the brands I work with, the distributor takes care of importing it. They have an import license and stuff. But there's some brands that use an importer, and then the importer then sells to the distributor, but the importer's got to make their margins as well. So they get a price from the producer. The importer then imports it into the United States. They cover their costs of paying for the logistics, the shipping and stuff, of bringing it to the U.S., covers the cost of getting the brand trademarked here in the United States, covers the tax on it coming in through customs in the United States, covers the labeling certification through the TTB. They cover the cost of everything to import that into the United States. Once they do that, then they tack on their profit, because they need to make money too. They're in business. They need to make money too. So they tack on their profit, and then they sell it to a distributor. Then the distributor then takes the product, tacks on their profit, tacks on their markup, and sells it to the retailer. And then the retailer then tacks on what they need for their markup, and then sells it to the retail customer. And so everybody's making money along the whole way. And sometimes you get a fourth person in there, which is, your importer, if the distributor is not the importer. There's a lot of cases here where the larger distributors are also importers, so they'll take care of importing it for you. That way they make more money on it. They get it for a better price than buying it from an importer that's bringing it in. So after you do that, then it goes to market, right? So then what else affects the price on the market? Well, demand does, right? When a product is selling out and you can't keep it on the shelf, you raise the price on it. You raise the price because it's selling for too cheap. If you can't keep it in stock, you raise the price and hope you can make more money on it and also keep some in inventory. So demand drives supply, and demand drives pricing. It's a basic economics 101 kind of philosophy. Supply and demand. So the more people want something and the more they're buying it, the higher the price is going to be, because they need to keep the supply going, right? Another thing that's been affecting the tequila industry that's kind of different too is the secondary market. Okay, and this is where we're looking at the Fortaleza Winter Blend, right? So what happens with Fortaleza Winter Blend is it's very limited and it sells out real quick. So supply and demand has a play in there too, right? But the distributor has their price for it, and they sell it to the retailer. Now the retailer can make a really good margin on it, and was at first, like when the first year came out, 2019, the Fortaleza Winter Blend was going for, I think it was like $80, $85 was the retail price on it. I think $89.99, because it was the same as like the Añejo. It was supposed to be the same price as if you were by the Añejo. So it was like $89.99 retail for it. And then what happens is all these people that were in all these Facebook groups and stuff went out and bought cases of it to the point where it disappeared. And then people were like, well, I wanted to get this winter blend sounds great. I love Fortaleza. I want to get it. And people were going crazy. And there was this whole FOMO explosion. And what happens is these guys that stocked up on it were then selling them for $200, $300, $400, right? Getting 3, 4, 5 times what they paid for them from these people. And they're doing it in Facebook groups, Reddit groups. They're doing it online and social media groups. And the retailers are sitting in these groups going, well, gosh, I just sold that same bottle from my shop and only made 20 bucks on it. Why am I doing that? This stuff's very limited. It's people are in demand. People are going crazy over it. They'll pay more for it. So in the case of winter blend, it's demand, supply, demand. It's FOMO, and it's like, okay, the retailer's going to, why should I not make it as much money on this stuff as I can and not let these secondary market guys do it? Which makes complete and total sense to me. So the secondary market kind of messed up winter blend, and I don't know if it'll ever recuperate to the point where it's reasonably priced from retail places. You know, some retail places still sell it for a very reasonable price because, you know, they either don't know better or they don't care, or they're just huge, you know, retail stores, and, you know, they're making money on everything that they're selling anyways. But a lot of places get a good markup on it, get a good margin on it, make it so it's somewhat expensive for a reposado. So those are some things that are affecting the prices. Now, what we want to do today is we wanted to take a look at the 123 Diablito, right? So this is selling for $695.99 on Ferment and Still. Suggested retail, I think, is $699.99. And then the other one was the El Tesoro right here, the El Tesoro 85th anniversary, which is $499 suggested retail, but it's going for about $599 on most places right now. So why is it going up? Why are these things so expensive, and is it crazy? Well, this particular bottle sat in a French oak barrel for 7 years. Okay, 7 years. Now, 123 Organic. Now you have to look at the brand too when you're looking at these, right? 123 Organic is a very reasonable brand that you can get the 1 Blanco, the 2 Repo, or 3 Añejo for a very reasonable price, right? And then next they have the Diablito, right? The Diablito is 40 months, I believe, 40 months in a French oak barrel. This is 7 years. So they could have taken this juice out and not made a special batch and probably made more money on it selling it as Diablito because they lost a lot of volume in this. In the barrels, the Angels took, you know, their share over 7 years. They're going to lose a lot of volume. So he probably could have made more money selling this as Diablito, which Diablito now runs $300. But he didn't, because he wanted to make this a special batch, right? So he kept it in the barrels for 7 years. And then after 7 years, he then put it into Napa Cabernet barrels and finished it in a top producer's Napa Cabernet barrels. Now, these Napa Cabernet barrels aren't free. The wineries sell them. They sell them to him. So he had to pay for the bottles or the barrels, and then he had to ship the barrels down to Mexico, which also wasn't free. So all in all, you're looking at probably right around 9.5 years of a project for this. Now just think, he could have taken this out and not said, I'm not going to do a special batch. And you could have just been buying Blanco from him, and he could have sold a lot more Blanco and probably made a lot more money off this. So he had to price this to make up for everything that he lost in Angel share, everything he lost in money over time. So it's really not that crazy when you look at how crazy just regular the prices are now and what things are going for and what he could have sold this for had he not done this as a special tequila. Now, the nice thing is this is a very beautiful tequila. It is a amazing experience. You can tell I've already consumed half the bottle, but it is amazing stuff. It's beautiful. So for me, I say this is more of a connoisseur's tequila and not an everyday person's tequila, because a connoisseur is going to understand the time and energy and the cost that the producer went through in making this tequila, and is gonna be okay with spending the money like I was, and like a lot of people were so far. It's been selling like crazy. So, and the 1-2-3 line, you know, you have to kind of look at the line too, right? And what their history is like. They normally keep things very reasonably priced. They're not gougers by any means. Now, you want to talk about gougers, you look at the Clase Azules, you look at the people with the pretty bottles that are jacking up the expensive prices on cheap tequila. Those are the gougers. But you look at a brand like 1-2-3 Tequila and David Ravandi and what he does there, it's a very reasonably priced main line. So the only reason why this is as expensive as it is because of the time and energy and the lost revenue that he had to deal with in creating this special edition. So you have to kind of take that stuff into consideration. Bourbon, people are like, well, you can put stuff in bourbon barrel for 7 years. It doesn't cost, yeah, but it's got to stay in a barrel. What's the minimum for bourbon? I forgot what the minimum was. Is it like 10 years or 5 years? It's got to be in a barrel for 5 years. It has to in order for you to sell it. So that's all built into it. With this, he could have sold that as Blanco and had a really amazing Blanco and probably even sold it for a little more than his regular Blanco, in that for the Diablito line, they use 10-year-old agave. They use really ripe, beautiful, organic agave for this particular expression from them. Diablito uses 10-year-old agave, which, and then this is also, 9 years ago, is what, 2014? 2013 probably, because it's going to be, came out pretty much last year. It was bottled. So 9-year-old agave from 2013, that's good agave. That's before we really jumped into a lot of the shortage that we have now, and the fact that they're harvesting 5-year-old agave versus the more older stuff. When I first started getting into tequila, the average age of between 6 to 8 years. Now they're going a little younger. Agave is supposedly maturing a little younger now too. But for this, 10 years, that's a beautiful, really sweet, ripe agave. That's a high quality agave. So he used the high quality ingredients for this. He could have probably sold this as a beautiful, amazing Blanco and made more money on it than what he's making and selling this now at this price for the 2,000 bottles that he got yield from it, from his batch that he did. That's all there is 2,000 bottles. So then we look at El Tesoro, the El Tesoro 85th, right? El Tesoro 85th, again, it was sitting in a barrel when they could have dumped it and sold a lot of money as a añejo during COVID, right? They could have made a lot of money selling it as an añejo during COVID, but they didn't. It was aged instead in Booker's special 30th anniversary Booker's barrels, and these Booker's barrels were sent down from Beam Suntory, and it was a joint project with Booker's, and that one was just 36 months, I think. 36 months, is that right? It was maybe a little bit longer. I forgot the total time frame. I'll have to go check, but I think it's like 40 months, maybe for like around 40 months or so of time in the barrel. And they're special 30th anniversary Booker's barrels. These are limited edition barrels, and they can't get them all the time. It was just a special thing that they did to celebrate the 85th anniversary of La Atena and El Tesoro brand. So very limited edition. It's allocated stuff. Suggested retail $499.99. It's reasonable comparing, when you look at the fact that, what we talked about here just before. Supply and demand. They could have made money on it as a Blanco if they wanted to, and got product out and filled the shelves, but instead it sat in a barrel, and it's like a bank account for these producers. Now, the kind of great thing about it is the producers are getting the money for this. The producers are making the money. So it helps keep the producers producing, and we want producers like 123 Organic and El Tesoro Producing, because they make good tequila, very good tequila. So I have both of them. I bought both of them. I've got the Diablito Rojo. I got the El Tesoro 85th. I spent my money on them because I love to support these brands. El Tesoro in general is a very affordable brand. Also, they don't gouge. Never gouge. Everything across their whole line is pretty affordable. So they came out with a special edition that they couldn't sell, or didn't sell. Not that they couldn't. They didn't sell when they could have during a shortage and stuff. They sat on it instead. And so then they look to get a fair market price from it when it comes out. And that's exactly what they did. It's a fair market price. It's not that crazy. Now, G4 is coming out with a 6-year, and the suggested retail price on the 6-year, which should be coming out this month, is $499.99. And there's only 1,000 bottles made, and only 500 of them are coming to the United States. So that's why there's a higher price on it, because there's a limited amount of bottles. It was extra añejo that's sitting in a barrel when they could have got it out as añejo or repo before that or whatever, and sold it when they had more quantity in the barrel. They didn't lose any angel share. They could have got a higher yield from it and made more money from it, but they didn't, because they wanted to release this special edition. And Felipe always has some special barrels he's got stashed away with stuff on it. I know Felipe very well. He's a good friend of mine. So you got that you're looking at as well. So where do things look in the future? Well, I have good news for you based on some of what people I've talked to think. The prices aren't going to stay this high. From what I found out, excuse me, talking so much, I need to take a quick second. Hold on. So talking to industry people, I've got the word that there's a lot of distilleries now that are loading up barrels and with the intent of aging them. So there'll be more inventory left. G4, you won't, unless you can find some places that still have the extra añejo. They're not expecting any more extra añejo to the United States until probably mid 2024 was the word I got from them. There's other places that are completely out of extra añejo and they don't see it coming for another couple years. Añejos, you'll see some, but still it's very limited amount. Fortaleza, their añejo, they can't keep up with production. When they put it in a barrel, it's pretty much the barrel's gone immediately. And you know, they're just always backlogged because they don't produce a lot for each batch. They need to run 24/7, which is what they do. So how can we stop this? How can we kind of control this? That's a lot of the questions that people ask is what can we do? Well, as consumers, for brands like Fortaleza, quit buying Fortaleza right now. There's a lot of other brands out there that you can find some añejos for and repos and stuff, and you can try other brands and expand your experiences with other brands. Let Fortaleza alone. Because then what will happen is Fortaleza will then catch up in production. They'll start filling the shelves. And then once they fill the shelves, then you go grab a bottle here and there. But try other brands out there. There's some really good other brands you can try that you can get that have inventory. They're available. Don't worry about Fortaleza. You'll be able to get some. Just give them a break. Let them catch up on producing. And right now, they can't. They can't catch up. They can't produce it fast enough. Just start looking at other brands, trying other brands. There's brands that are quite good, that are plenty of inventory, plenty, from some really good distilleries. So go explore, ask, watch some of my reviews on the Tequila Hombre channel, and look for brands that you haven't heard of or you didn't know about. And if I give it a good review and say try it, give it a try, pick it up. Now you're lucky in the fact that I work really hard to try to get these brands, anything that I like, into ferment and still. So you can find a lot of stuff there at that store. But if not, go to your local store and see if you can find it there. You know, Primo or other things. G4 out of El Pendillo's, you can find the Blanco a lot of places. El Tesoro's great, you can find that a lot of places. It's still readily available. Ocho, you can find a lot of places. There's other brands that you can find too. Carrera, which their Blanco is absolutely phenomenal. The new Lotte Blanco, amazing stuff. It's my favorite Blanco. I buy bottles of that like crazy now and drink them. I'm like finished 9 bottles of Carrera Blanco already. So there's a lot of other brands that you can look for that you can give Fortaleza a rest and let them catch up. Let them get their shelf stocked and stuff again. So that's what we're looking at. So things that are driving these prices, mainly it's demand. They can't keep the stuff on the shelf, so they increase the price to try to slow down buying so they can get things back in stock. But what the industry people are telling me though is they're seeing a lot more inventory showing up for aged stuff. So you're going to see a lot more hit the market. And when that happens, when there's a lot more available, we'll see the prices come down. So, and G4, they always try to keep their prices the same. We're not going to see a drastic price in G4 or any other things. You won't see a drastic price in El Tesoro. They just recently had a price increase a year ago. I think it was a year ago that they did their price increase, which was like a first that they've done in like 12 years. They've pretty much ignored that brand, and it was a bargain for the longest time. But the prices are still very reasonable. It's right up to where it should be in the market. So it's not super expensive. And you'll see a lot of these brands keep their prices where they should be for extra neos and stuff like that. It's just these special editions that are very limited, that the price is really high because the ones that came out went through COVID and went through a time where there were shortages, and they could have made a ton of money on them, but they didn't. So now they need to make up that money. They need to make it up by charging a reasonable price, and these prices for these bottles are reasonable. Especially for like a connoisseur like myself who appreciates a really nice, special sipping tequila to enjoy during celebrations. I might have a little bit of this today with a cigar after this live stream to celebrate launching this new channel, which is going to be a great experience for us. I'm really looking forward to sharing some more stuff with you guys, getting on some more topics and stuff like that. So that kind of sums up so it's a 42-minute presentation. I'm sorry it took so long, but that kind of sums up where things are in the industry and what people shared with me in my conversations with them on the phone to find out what their perspective was on what's going on with the pricing. So you guys, I'm going to open it up for question and answering now and visiting in with some of the subscribers. We don't have members here yet, but once we do get members, I'm going to put a membership program together for the Hombre Cave. But hey, Brian Coyote, how are you doing, buddy? Lambden, glad you can make it. EBA 101 Boxing. Just found this brand new channel. You look like someone. Yeah, I am someone from another channel you follow. Hey, EBA, how are you doing, buddy? Hey, hola. Hola, Andy Sandoval. Glad you can make it. Anthony Martin, hey, glad you can make it. Buenas noches to you too. Buenas nachos. Hey, Ray Elizondo, how you doing, buddy? Glad you can make it. Bienvenido. Welcome to the new channel. Feliz año. Oh, yeah, Feliz año. Okay, yeah, Happy New Year, I guess. Mash. No, it's not mash. It's called wort. It's called wort. I just remembered now. It's called wort. So like in beer making, when you do your mash, the wort is the juice that you get out of it. So I don't know if it's called wort in bourbon world or not. I never dove that deep into bourbon before, so I don't know what things are called through the different stages. But with beer making, it's called wort, and it's the sugar-filled juice that you get when you wash the mash, and it's called a sparge. When you do a sparge and you run water through the mash to get all the sugars out of the grains. Hello, I think I've seen you somewhere. Yes, you have the one. You have seen me somewhere else. I'm Bienvenido. Welcome to the Hombre Cave. Yeah, so stock up now. Don't stock up now. Just stock up now. Hola, Johnny E. Glad you can make it. Hey, Tony. Bienvenido. Glad you can make it as well. You guys, so glad you guys are joining me on the channel for this episode. Now, any questions about this pricing stuff that we talked about? I think we should get a discussion going, and let's talk a little bit about what's going on here with the pricing. So Lambda wants to know, what are we all drinking tonight, you guys? So what's in your glass? I'm gonna pour my glass now that I'm done talking, and and we can go from there. So how can a mixto be considered additive free like El Tequilano Blanco, for example? I find this odd. Okay, well, this isn't a regular Q&A. We're talking about tequila pricing, but I will answer this question for you. Additives have to deal with what is put into the tequila after it is done being distilled, right? So with a mixto, it's just they're using sugar and agave for the sugars, for fermentation. So anything that's added afterwards is considered additive. So anything after the still. So that's why it's not considered an additive, but it's not called 100% agave tequila. You can't put 100% agave on the bottle when you're not using 100% agave. Instead, it's sugar. It's the 70-30 sugar to agave mixture for the fermentables. That's why. It has nothing to do with additives. Hola, Leo Bravo. Glad you can make it. Bienvenido. So, Jan is sipping on some Ocho Widow Jane tonight. Nice, Jan. And now that I know how to pronounce your name right. From Norway. Jan from Norway. Salute, you guys. Welcome. I'm glad you could join me for the launching of my new channel today. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this pricing discussion. If there's any questions on pricing, let's talk about those right now, or let's talk about pricing in general. Landon is starting it off. He's on the Vago TBAC. Oh, nice. You like the Vago. You should try the La Luna. It's good too. But this isn't. Here we go. Okay, Shane, good info tonight. Time in a barrel and years of aging is what you pay for, and a great añejo, an extra añejo. Love the 45-minute rant, hombre. Well, thank you. That's. Hopefully it was an information-filled rant, and you guys, this was all information I got from industry experts, producers, and stuff, and what they said. And so it wasn't just like my opinion. It's based on pretty much hard, cold facts from the industry. So it's just these special editions that the prices are going to be a little higher on, like this. So don't worry, it's not turning into bourbon right now, not yet. I don't know if it ever will, honestly. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. So you're sipping on some Mahia Extraña. Nice, I like the Mahia Extraña. It's a beautiful, well-priced extra añejo. You're sipping on water. Okay, that's good. Water's good. Hydration is key. Good hydration is always key. All right, I'm sipping on some Diablito Rojo. Oh, so good. So you guys joining me on this journey, on the new channel, the Hombre Cave. Salud. I drink salud. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you. Thank you for supporting this new venture. I really do appreciate it. Leo Bravo says, I'm not sure if it's just Arkansas or anywhere else, but Ocho has started disappearing here across the state. Checked at several different places, and I've been told you can't get it for the past 3 months. Well, I'm not sure. You can get it here in California, but I'm not sure whether they're just not bringing it into Arkansas anymore or what. But the Widow Jane was here. I mean, did you get the Widow Jane in Arkansas? What is this? Everything you said about pricing makes sense to me. Ravandi was doing a passion project 7 years. Prices reflect that. Yes, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. They do. he was doing and and it's funny because when I talked to him and I said, wow, I go, this stuff's really good. And he goes, Mark, you got to understand, this was like 9.5 years of my life I spent working on this and perfecting it. And I'm like, it shows in every drop. So it was a huge passion project for him. And he's a big wine guy too. So he loves wine. And so for him being able to do that, you know that too with El Luchador, where he did the white Burgundy barrels for El Luchador, and then he did Napa Valley Cabernet for this. He's a big wine connoisseur, wine drinker and stuff, and so this truly is kind of his passion, being able to mix both tequila and wine together in this world. He's something I know he's super happy about and super proud of. So used to be fully stocked up at all liquor stores before. Realistically, how soon before pricing on tequila normalizes? 1 year. So it's not changing on regular tequila. So I don't think there's going to be a normalization. I think it's normalized now. But I think what happened was all these special editions hit at the same time. They hit for Christmas time, right? We had all these special editions that came out, and they're all trying to get them in for the holidays. And so that it kind of made give people the assumption that everything was going crazy. But these were all special editions. They're all special limited editions, allocated stuff that kind of blew things up a little bit and made it kind of look like the pricing was going crazy. It's been normalized. It hasn't really gotten that crazy. There just hasn't been a lot of inventory. And so inventory now is coming back because people are finally, recuperating from COVID. COVID was 2020, right? 2019, 2020. So we're looking at 3 years now after 2020. So stuff that they put in the barrels during 2020 is now coming out. So we'll see more inventory show up on the shelves, and that will keep prices reasonable. Now, Fortaleza, there's no guarantees on that, because the more people keep hunting for it and buying it up like crazy, even though they don't really need to, buy a bottle and enjoy it for a while, right? Let it fill the shelves up. You buy when somebody comes on to ferment and still, when they get 24 bottles of still strength Blanco in and buys 12 bottles of it. Why? What do you need with 12 bottles? Buy one bottle and let the rest sit in inventory, and otherwise you're driving the prices up, because when someone buys 12 and there's 12 left, they're going, well, gosh, we just got it on the shelf and it's gone within 3 days. We're not selling it for enough. And they jack the price up. So just buy a bottle, enjoy it for a little bit, buy some other bottles, some other stuff, enjoy those, spread the love out to other brands, and let Fortaleza catch up. They will. Yes, paid $500 for the Cascana single barrel XA with glasses and custom box. I felt it was worth every penny. Enjoy the experience. And yeah, there you go. Yeah. And they don't need to give you special glasses and stuff now. But Cascanas was like the first one that really hit the $4.99 mark, and people said it would never sell. It was too much, and blah, blah, blah. And it sold out. So is there still a shortage of glass? That would increase the cost. Yeah. Yes, there is still a shortage of glass. There's still waiting periods for people to get their glass bottles in. It's because of the raw materials. Now, Mexico is the second largest producer of glass in the world, behind China. And both of them are having issues getting the raw materials to make their glass. So there is a shortage of glass right now, and they're trying to catch up, and they're trying to get things going. But the whole supply chain issues from COVID are still in existence now. And like I said, it's a worldwide thing. It's not just the US that's experiencing this inflation. People try to blame it on Joe Biden. It's not a Joe Biden thing. It is a world thing. So totally respect David, his Blanco Repo, and yeah, all have continued to be responsibly priced. Yeah, I think responsibly and reasonably priced. It's very affordable. The whole brand is very affordable. So I actually don't mind paying a higher price for a quality product. I would rather drink something well made than not. Exactly. Exactly. And you have to honestly look at the company too, in which it's coming from. If it's Clase Azul, okay, look, they're pricing it because they want to go for the luxury market. It's overpriced because it's just additives. It's not good tequila. And that's not that. Those people are ripping you off on what they're charging for it. But when you look at brands like El Tesoro and 123 Organic, which the 123 regular expressions are all very reasonably priced and delicious. Everyone can afford to buy it. It's not that expensive at all. Even the El Luchador stuff that the 123 line came out with, it's very affordable. Their repo is fantastic and it's extremely affordable. Like $49.99, I think, is the price on the repo. It's very reasonable. So why did they go $6.99 on the extra neo? Because it took 7 years aging, another year and a half or so, finished in another barrel, and then 9.5 years of time that he could have made probably a lot more money on it if he let it out earlier. So that's why. And there's only 2,000 bottles, and a lot of it's sold already. So, just disappointed in the mass American market and supporting the tequilas made with additives and jacking up the yeah, I understand that, but that still strength is good. It's very good. The Fortaleza still strength is my favorite of the Fortaleza line. But honestly, I haven't bought a bottle of that in a long time because I've been drinking so many other stuff. Look at all the bottles I got back here. I mean, look, there's a lot of tequila that you can drink that's good, that's readily available. You don't have to drink Fortaleza. And some of these I like better. I like better than Fortaleza. They're readily available. But thank you for your comment, Rigo. I appreciate it, buddy. What do you think about it's going to be the next Fortaleza? Right now, my go-to sipper is a Luchador 110 Blanco. That's really good. I think, well, I don't think it's going to be the next Fortaleza, but I think it's my favorite Blanco right now. And that's the Carrera, the low CTB 045. It's amazing. It's the best Blanco I've ever had. Like I told you, I drank like 9 bottles of it so far. I have to keep buying it a case at a time because I literally crave it. It's so good. And that's the first time I've ever had that with the Blanco. And somebody commented today about, oh, now you have a favorite Blanco because someone's putting money in your pocket. No, I am paying more. I'm buying more of this stuff. It's costing me more money. No one's putting any money in my pocket. But, you know, people think so because it comes from the Tequila Hombre edition, which was the special project that I did, but they're not paying that. They're not paying me for that. I love the brand. It's the Camarena family. I'm actually part of the Camarena family, and I'll go over that on the Tequila Hombre sometime. But I was inducted as an honorary Camarena, and I've gotten the book of the family, and we're going to do, I'll probably do it on Instagram. I'm going to walk people through the family lineage, the Camarena family lineage, through the book that they gave me as an honorary Camarena. So, but those guys are like my family in Mexico. So I helped them with the stuff because I wanted to do a special batch for my group, the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective. So we did this 110 proof, 104 proof, which is with 108 proof, 54% Blanco. That's absolutely amazing. And they decided to use it for the 40% regular Blanco too, because the flavor profile came out so great. So that's why it's called the Tequila Hombre edition. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm not making any money on it, but I absolutely love the flavor profile. And it's actually the best. And it's not because I was involved in it. It's just because it is truly the best Blanco I've ever had. So, so I think if people are going to go crazy over this brand once more and more people try it. So if you haven't tried that Carrera, the low CTB 045, if you try the older stuff, forget what you experienced. This is completely new and different, and it's absolutely the most amazing Blanco I've ever had. It's so good. So if you want to try it, I can guarantee you that if you buy the Carrera Blanco off of Ferment and Still, you will get the new edition. That's all they have right now. That's all the inventory they have. So, and then we have the 108 proof coming probably next month. It'll probably be here. They're getting it bottled now and and getting it ready to ship. So it should be here next month. Have you tried the Volon 6-year? What do you think about the price? No, I haven't tried the Volon 6-year. I know that one's expensive as well. I don't know what's the price on that. And it was like $5.99, I think. But they only did a very small amount on that too. So that's why the price is so high on it. It's because it's very, very small amount, very limited. It's not a huge production, so they needed to make as much money off per bottle as they could. But I haven't tried it yet. I have a friend of mine who's trying to get me a bottle. But if I do get it, I'll do a review and we can talk about it. And that will be on the Tequila Hombre channel. So what's going to happen here with this new channel, it's going to be kind of cool, is I'll do reviews on the Tequila Hombre channel, and then we're going to just do like discussions here and go deeper in depth about it afterwards, but it'll be like one day a week. And then we'll talk. What we'll do is we'll start off the show with talking about the brand and stuff, and then we'll talk about another subject like football, like the playoffs coming up. We'll talk about baseball. We'll talk about cigars. We'll talk about a bunch of different other things. We're going to broaden the topics on this, but of course, tequila is also going to be involved in this as well, because I can't get involved in something without tequila involved. So. Have any of the brands that you've talked with really thought about bumping the price up just because they probably can? No, they're not like that. You know, they bump the prices up to help cover their costs so they can make money, because, you know, they all have families to feed. They have employees who have families to feed, and they need to take care of everybody, and they need to pay all their taxes, and they need to keep their lights on and want to keep producing, and they need to make money. I mean, this is a profit business. Tequila was cheap for the longest time. Did I miss the current? No, you didn't. It's not out yet. No, answer your question. No, it's not coming out. It's not coming here till February. You know, and it keeps getting delayed. So I wouldn't even bank on it being in February. Probably more like March, April, because it just hasn't been moving really quickly. I would have loved to have it in December, but that didn't happen. So, all right. So, what do you guys think? Any other questions about the pricing and stuff that we talked about, and kind of give you guys a better understanding of what's going on? You need to have a topic about the game Monday night. Go Cowboys. Yes, we will definitely go over football playoffs. I think we'll do a live stream on here about playoffs maybe this weekend. All right, we'll definitely talk about that. And then I'm going to start talking about cigar pairings with tequila and stuff as well too. So we'll do some stuff with that as well. And a bunch of different hobbies that I do, and I'm going to bring other people on. So if you have an interesting hobby that you want to talk about, and come on, and we can discuss, you can present to the cave. Let me know. Message me. Send me an email. Let me know if it looks good and stuff. Sounds like a good topic. We can do it. We can bring you on and talk about it. I'm also going to be doing some interesting things here too. In that, I'm going to be giving stuff away. I've always been one about putting tequila in people's hands and getting people access to stuff. So I was thinking what I may do here is some of the bottles that I get that are special editions and stuff that may be expensive and people can't afford them but want to try it. I may start doing some giveaways for people here where I just give out sample bottles for people. So stay subscribed, and if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and basically all you have to do is come and comment, ask questions, and participate in here. And I could just pick you and say, hey, I'm going to send you a bottle of this to try, and send off little sample bottles for people to be able to experience some of the stuff they either cannot get sometimes, or it's just too expensive for them. I'm all about letting you guys try things and sharing my stuff with people. So I need a whole bottle of tequila watching this. I know. Trust me, I know. That last game was horrible, and we'll talk about that. We can talk about that we'll do the next live stream on football and the playoffs and what people's predictions and stuff are. So look for that to be posted on here when we're going to do that. Inflation is real at the moment. Supply chain issues affect all sorts of industries. Pricing is based on this. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head right there. It's affecting everybody. I mean, look at the price of eggs, the dairy market. I mean, it's crazy. And what it was, supply chain issues, and then aviary flu, hit the bird flu. And so we had problems with turkeys during Thanksgiving. And are you partnering with a cigar distributor shop? Group buys would be great on the cigars. No, I'm not partnering with any, not unless any of them contact me and say they want to do it. But I'll let you know where I get stuff, and we'll talk about some of the stores that I use. But no, I'm not looking to do any partnerships on cigar stuff. Especially here in California. Our taxes on cigars here in California are horrible. But I can refer you to places that when I get a certain one in, I'll tell you where I got it and stuff, and we'll talk about what I look for in cigars. I love a good cigar. I smoke cigars all the time, and so we can talk about what I look for and what I found and what I like about what, and what the price was, and so on, and and I'll share with you where I got it. But I don't have any partnerships planned for it, so you won't see that. But we're gonna go over pairings and stuff and what I'm drinking, with what tequilas, and then we can talk about bourbons and whiskeys and beer. I mean, we'll talk about beer and home brewing and stuff like that. We're going to talk about a bunch of different subjects here. We're going to expand it. We'll draw a lot more people in, and then it should be good. It should be a fun thing to do. And the whole main reason why I did this, and I'm going to, I don't know. I want to show you guys what I got planned here. I think I showed it on the Tequila Hombre channel for those of you, but I've got, we'll do this real quick here. It's my tequila den is a little messy, but I have all these different cameras set up now, so we can go to different angles, where this one here will actually, if I want to show you guys things around the cave here, it's a little messy here, so I'm sorry. But let me see if I get it. Hold on. Did it do it? No, it's not doing it right now. Hold on. It's not working, but this camera normally follows me. It'll follow me around, so I can actually show you. I can show you like around the whole. There it goes. Now it's working. Let me see. Is it working now? Yeah. Okay. See, it'll follow me around the whole. So I can take you for a tour around the agave den, the agave cave, the Hombre cave, and show you all the different stuff that's going on. And then we've got other things too. So if I'm gonna show you something that I'm working on the desk, we have a camera here, which my desk is a mess right now, but I can show you stuff here on the desk with a different camera angle. And then I'm not going to go to the last camera angle that I got, but I've got a camera up above that can show you the whole agave den, which can share with you a lot of the stuff that I have going on around here. And so the Hombre cave, sorry. So we're going to do more stuff with different views and stuff, where I can share with you guys what's going on here in the cave too. But we'll talk about some other hobbies and other things too. Not just tequila. So let me see. Leo Bravo wants to know, this might be off topic, about pricing, Hombre, but do you have an idea around which month you'll be doing the Tequila Hombre tour? I don't know yet. I don't even know if there's going to be one. I need to find somebody, if somebody can do the logistics and stuff for it, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to manage that. I got so much stuff that I need to worry about when I'm in Mexico. The last thing I would do is worry about whether our van's going to show up and and how we're going to get to where. I want somebody else to handle that. So when I'm in anywhere near close to having somebody that can work with me on that, I'll let everybody know. So I don't have a date yet. Ever since I started tasting quality agave spirits, oh, Mark's help included, I've stopped drinking beer and other spirits. Yeah, I don't drink beer anymore. No desire at the moment. Yeah, the tequila is the only spirit I drink. Occasionally I'll have a beer because I still have a refrigerator full of beer. My garage is a brewery. I was a world champion home brewer. And we'll go over like my qualifications and stuff on another episode. And then I'll show you my garage. We'll do some video footage and stuff of some stuff that I got going on in the garage. So we'll share that with you guys too here on the Hombre Cave. So we're going to be doing a lot of cool things here. I'm really excited about it. And it's cool that we can do other things besides tequila. So make sure you tell your friends, have your friends come and subscribe. I need to get 1,000 subscribers in here as quick as possible, just so we can start monetizing the channel. I can start building a membership system offering here, and then can really start offering some really cool things. So, but the more people we get, the more opportunities open up for us too. So, tell your friends, share that about the channel, and this is going to be more podcast like, so you could actually just listen to it on in your car or whatever, on your TV at home, in the background, and get information and stuff, and not be as visual as like stuff on the Tequila Hombre channel is. I'm trying to keep it more podcast, and I'll bring other people on, so I'll have interviews. We'll have people that we're talking about different subjects on, and it should be fun. So, okay, any last call for any questions? Any other questions that I can address for you guys on the pricing for tequila? I hope this opened your guys' minds up a little bit, opened your hearts up to these brands, and kind of get your mind out of thinking that these brands are trying to rip you off and stuff. They're not. They're just trying to make a living. Yes, subscribing is free, y'all. And also clicking that thumbs up button is free too. So you guys give me a like for the information I share with you today. Taking the time right now. We're over an hour and 12 minutes. So click the thumbs up button. Give me a like. It doesn't cost you anything. And then we'll see you next time on in the Hombre Cave, right? I got to think of a really nice saying for the Hombre Cave. You guys have any suggestions on what my sign off for the Hombre Cave should be? All right, so we'll do another live stream this week, and we'll talk about football. Let's talk about the playoffs, what our teams are looking like, and how we think things are going to progress. And bring your favorite tequila or other beverage with you, and we'll have a good time. All right, guys, salute.